Hello everyone, Nicole D'Angelo here for the Making of a DM. Today would have been episode 4 of our playthrough and probably would have gone very well because we have a new microphone. And that microphone is called the Digital Spark. And I'm hoping that's something that's going to change the way that we record our videos. This will be on my desk. I'm testing it right now. And I think I have to tune it, so if it doesn't come out perfect tonight, it will definitely come out perfect next time. So we had quite a bit go on tonight, and there was a lot of going back and forth about who was going to come and who wasn't going to come. And in the long run, what happened was the perfect storm. Shea was sick. Josh had a date and had to make it 2.5 hours across Atlanta to get here on time. Rudolph had to go and take care of his tuition and take some clothes back before they didn't give him back his money anymore. Andrew made plans when he started seeing everybody was bailing on me. And then all of a sudden everybody came together. And then at the very end, Kobe had a situation that arose that just couldn't get out of. But in this situation, there wasn't any way any of them were going to be able to keep their plans because they weren't being irresponsible. It actually was issues that were out of most of their control. Specifically, Shea was sick. And Kobe had a major issue come up, and Andrew bailed because everybody else was bailing. So when it came down to it, it just was not in the cards for tonight. And that was a good thing because this didn't show up until 8 o'clock, my new microphone. So we just would have had a shitty recording again. And that's not the type of thing I want to bring y'all, because I want to bring you great content that you could watch here. And that's something that I'm doing my best to bring you. What a day. That's all I could say is what a day. And I started losing my voice, so to be describing things and bringing people through that wonderful world, it would have been a little bit difficult after a while. I'm drinking cranberry juice with lemon and lime tonight. Usually there'll be vodka in there. But holy cow, I just feel like hell. So we're going to make me feel better and come back and do this next week. All right, so let's talk about what happened in episode 3, since you guys did not see that and there was no real making of a DM session. So essentially, our heroes came out of the tunnel. Kobe kicked the tunnel, knocking back 2 of the acolytes that were standing right there, because the acolytes and the kobolds now had surprise on them because Kobe had thrown his hammer, and he had critically failed. The hammer banged around the inside of the tunnel, causing all this noise, alerting people that were outside the tunnel waiting for them, and all of them came to the tunnel to stop our party members from getting out of the tunnel and going about their mission. So it looked like they were going to fail at first, especially disheartening since in the last episode before this, they had avoided a confrontation with the swarm of rats when Shea spoke to them, rolled very high, and convinced them not to attack. So they started to have some issues, and the issues were that they had positioned themselves very close to all of the mobs and weren't working together. And all of a sudden they started working together, and they got through the 6 or 8 mobs very quickly and made their way, believe it or not, to the mill. As they approached the mill, Raiko and Shea and Falgorn, they all rolled the dice to see if they perceived anything going on there. Falgorn immediately in the metaverse started saying, I bet you it's a setup. I bet you it's a trap. And I'm like, I'm not going to tell you. No reason for me to tell you that it's a trap or that it's not a trap. You got to figure it out in-game, not out of game, because it matters more what the character thinks than what you think. But he had it right on. And eventually, as he got closer and closer, he was able to roll high enough to go, they're burning wagons with hay in it, but not the mill itself. They've strategically placed the wagons around the mill to make it look like the mill was burning. It must be a setup. The team decided to approach from within the creek because then they could approach stealthily. Raiko moved up from the creek and did a little bit of a scouting and was able to surprise one of the guards that were coming by. I think it was a cultist or an acolyte. but he missed. We had some issues with stealth, not stealth, flanking, and sneak attack, which we've worked out since then. Nonetheless, they got into a little bit of trouble at first and then started to whittle away at the 6 of the mobs that were outside of the mill. As they started to whittle them down, the people that were outside the mill got a little bit nervous. So I kept rolling, and my idea was that if they rolled a 5 or less, they were going to call for help. Well, the first time, the second time, the third time, they're rolling 15, 20, and there was no problem with them, just dying and not calling for help. But just before they killed the 4th one, the 5th and 6th rolled extremely high, an 18 and a 19, and with the perception, with their modifiers, it was like a 22 and a 21, I believe, somewhere around there. And they wound up calling for help, and out of the mill came 4 guards. And our group has not faced guards before. In the beginning, when they started facing these guards, they started to get hit pretty hard. And again, they weren't working together at first, and then they just came together and started whittling away the group of mobs that were attacking them. Well, we got it down to 2 mobs left, and we had to call the night. Or I should say, I had to call the night because Shea and myself were yawning like crazy because we were tired, because we work all day and we were up all night, that kind of stuff. Shea works in the same place I do, and we both go to school, but school isn't on right now. It was all for different reasons. But we ended it, and it was 11:05 when we ended it. So here we are, done. Today we were going to pick up where they were. Uranus didn't come, like I said, because he had an important family meeting to go to. And we pretty much worked it in that he was going to go back to the keep to read his book. But what he didn't know was that while Shea did speak to animals, she said, "Let us pass. Please, we mean you no harm." And as everybody left, she said, "You guys keep watch here and let no one through." Well, Uranus then could not get back through because the rats were there blocking his way, and they wouldn't listen to anyone except for Shea because they can't understand our language or common speak. They could only understand their own speak, and you would need Shea to tell them to get out of the way. So the idea for the next episode is that Uranus has come out of the tunnel, has found traces of him going towards the mill, and is working his way there. He should be there right about the time that our group is about ready to kill the last 2 mobs there. And that's where we're going to take off the next time we meet. So I've been thinking, I started this Horde of the Dragon Queen. I was going to grab the book. It's over in that stack over there, but I don't want to dig through it and have you look at the back of my head for a second. So we decided that we're not going to do I'm going to bring this back a little bit. In the beginning, we decided that we weren't going to do my homebrew because I hadn't DM'd for a very long time. And I wanted to have some opportunity doing a canned mission or a canned campaign and then jump into my homebrew. I'm done. I'm going to make this one work because I'm going to homebrew a lot of where the group goes from here on. But this campaign is a bunch of go here, go there, go here, go there. It's like D&D on a Disney ride. You get to go where they tell you to and nowhere else. Oh, but I know it's my game. So I don't have to listen to them. And I can look at the book as it's just, these are the events going on in the world. And then you present your group with those events. And then they can go and do what they want to do. So after we help Greenest, I'm going to pose a couple of options to them. And from that point on, based on what they say, we'll be homebrewing this particular campaign. Should they want to go off on their own way, then I'll build into the storyline that another adventuring party is doing the events that are supposed to take place inside of Horde of the Dragon Queen. Should they choose to go on the Horde of the Dragon Queen quest line, I'm just going to add a bunch of side quests to it that incorporate their stories and make it a lot more fun and a lot more engaging for them. That's the way I'm going to work it. That's the way I'm going to work it. Well, I didn't realize I left Mumble on the other computer. Well, that's my idea. Well, this past week, like I said, we had a bunch of things go on for our... Well, it's not just about this particular game, Dungeons and Dragons. It's about all the RPG games I play. Everything from Star Wars Galaxies to Fallout to Dragon Age, Neverwinter, World of Warcraft, Dungeons and Dragons, whatever it might be. I need a place to put that. So I started thinking about what to call it. And it is no shock that I am just in love with the whole crew that does Critical Role. So I started looking at what all of these games have in common. And of course, it's role-playing. It's all fantasy role-playing with a little bit of sci-fi, but that's still fantasy, right? So I came up with the name, bought the website, got everything set up, and we are now fantasy-roll.com. We are now have our own Patreon page, which is not live yet. It will be live once we start doing regular content, and that will be patreon.com/fantasyroll. We have our own Twitch, which is twitch.tv/fantasyroll. And I'm going to put a lot of videos up there. It's not just going to be D&D. All of my in-game videos when I'm playing and I'm RPing inside the Star Citizen universe will be up there. And any other fantasy game or sci-fi game that I play that has to do with role-playing, I'll start putting up on that channel. And I'll link a lot of them back to my Star Citizen Addicts Anonymous channel at first. But as soon as it starts getting its own following, we're going to stop that and just let Star Citizen go off on its own. Let Fantasy Roll be the big umbrella, and then have everything all work out together. That's my idea. I know I talked about this before, but that's where we're going with this channel. Doesn't affect Star Citizen at all. There's still Wednesdays, there's still State of the Games, and there will be Star Citizen AAs. Now that I got this beautiful microphone, everything should be fine. All right, folks, that's a quick update. I'm trying to get the group together for a Saturday off, Saturday night D&D session. We'll see how that goes. Hopefully it goes well. And if it does go well, then you should see that sometime on Monday. And I think that's all I have for you. And with that said, travel safe, roll high, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.